Hello everyone, this is Planckera, and welcome to my universe. And hello there, Protux, and hello there, Cakes. Welcome back, both of you. Alright, well, you know, as the title says, I do think that the next thing I gotta figure out, once I find my cursor here, here we go. Need a bigger brush here so I can actually see where I'm going. But, arm. I gotta get the arm, I want to do that. I guess strictly speaking, I could probably work on the face if I really wanted to. I kind of do. But no, I'm gonna be good and figure out the arm first. Ah, hello there, Blood Bullet. Welcome back. So yes, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna figure out the arm first. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and take off the vestment there and stare at this thing. It's okay, I think I know what I need to do. It's just, you know, like I've said, my arms are kind of my nemesis. So figuring out how they work is always a bit of a thing for me. Alright. So I'm gonna think about what I need to do here, but I think it's actually not gonna be that bad. Oh no. YouTube. You see, this is exactly why I fear YouTube, and I try not to mess with it. I do my best to be good, because I know that it will get its vengeance on me if I don't. So, there we go. Alright. So the basic idea of what I need to do here. So if I just think of this, you know, kind of like this. So we have that there, and then we'll probably see this side, I think. Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking of it in terms of a cube. Don't mind the fact that certain things are round. It's a cube in my head. Or a rectangular prism, if I want to be more accurate. But, yes. And then, because it's going back, we'll have the other part of the arm kind of going back like this. And going out here. And it'll be, you know, something like that. And then it all kind of combines down here. And it probably looks a little bit more like that in the folds. So I think that's what I need to draw, basically. And it doesn't seem that hard. That's why sometimes I like to break things out like this and break it down just a little bit more so I can try to understand what I'm doing rather than just get overwhelmed by everything. Stick figures are useful. Never forget. Okay. So if I were to translate that over here, I pause. You know, someday. I mean, right now I'm still just finishing up some stuff. I wasn't able to finish one of my drawings in time for Christmas, but I expected that. I actually did, unironically, so I still want to finish that before I get too deep into personal training here. So it'll be a little bit. I'm just gonna let myself, you know, continue to be a little bit of an egg. And we're just gonna, you know, feed off all the nutrients inside the egg, and hopefully at some point I'll be very strong. I've been doing it for a lot of ways. You know, sometimes when I'm watching my kids, sometimes when I'm watching my kids I can draw, sometimes I can't. So I generally set a little bit of time out in the morning to try to get some stuff done, but in the evening, they get priority. So sometimes I can draw, sometimes I can't, sometimes they're cool with just letting me because they just kind of want to go out and do their own thing. Sometimes they don't. So I've been trying to find other things to do while they're kind of in a state of don't necessarily want me to be running around with them, but are wanting enough attention that I'd be getting up every 5 minutes, and that's just a terrible way to draw. So, lately, I've been reading short stories. Mostly of the public domain variety, so historical stuff. And it's been very interesting. As you know, I still want to improve my writing too, and I have considered doing like some kind of audiobook stuff for fun. So reading through, seeing what's there. And it's been a good time. And they're short, so I generally finish them quickly, and I'm hoping that at some point I will get a better idea of how to wrangle the plot of a story. So, you know, that I actually do consider part of my training. I have said in the past that consuming the media that you want to produce is very important, and I still think that. So, I am happy that I've been able to find something useful to do while the kids aren't super needy, but are too needy for me to be able to just sit down and draw for a while. I want her to be a little bit skinnier here. So, right now, before I get into the arm, I'm kind of finishing off her shoulder and torso area because her arm is going to be behind all this, and I want to make sure it attaches to her shoulder correctly. So, I just want to get a feel for what I'm doing here. I'm not trying to be neat, it's just kind of working out that way. Okay. Just wanted to check body proportions real quick. But no, so, you know, so far so good here. Just gonna plot at things with liquefy for a little bit. And I want to make sure that the angle of her torso is feeling all right, because if this doesn't feel right, then there's no way I'm gonna be able to get this arm that is attached to it right. Arms, nah. Nemesis, forever and ever. I don't know, I'll probably do some dedicated arm and torso studies at some point, but maybe. I don't know, man. I still have mixed feelings about studies in general. Like, a part of me is like, yeah, I should study this, and then I'm just... And then, you know, I sit down and do things, and I'm like, you know, no, I have an idea for a picture. I'll just pay extra attention to the torso here. And I draw a full illustration instead. So who knows? Maybe I study, maybe I won't. I don't think it matters. As long as I keep drawing things. Yeah, I know, right? Who cares about studying? There's stuff to be made. And then look, I'll still get better as long as I keep drawing. It'll be great. It'll be great. Okay. There we go. I feel like that shape is good now. I think that's... I don't know, is it... Did I make her too skinny? I might have. I might have, actually. Let me back up a bit. This part is definitely better, but I think I might have made her a little too skinny, like, right through here. In this case, I don't really want to change the thickness of this part. I just want to adjust the angle of this line here so that this way it connects a little further out. Because I like this distance here. So I'm going to try to avoid changing that. I'm just going to cut into her arm here. Okay, there we go, and let's see. The cap? Oh yeah, I have not finished the veil yet. I just got it started because I didn't want to work on some other stuff last time, and I had a little bit of time left, so I started figuring out how it was going to work. And I was like, you know, this is fine. But we'll leave it there for now. And now I'm going back and doing basic corrections. I do like her design though. I think this veil is really pretty. I really like the blue going behind it. So I'm looking forward to drawing it. It is just not yet time. I told myself that the first thing I was going to do was figure out this arm. And that will happen. I just want to make sure the proportions on the torso that the arm is connecting to are correct. Because otherwise, I will draw the arm wrong. And I don't want to be flailing at an arm for an hour. Blah. I have no desire to be doing that, so I want to make sure that I have everything else the way I want it first. And I think that this should all be pretty good. And I don't think I like those folds. So, I mean, I kind of like... Alright. The idea... Oh, I got rid of my white again. Whoops. It just needs to turn. It needs to be, you know, more like that. How does this all tuck into things? Like, is there a waistband or something? Looks like it. If that's the case, then that fold actually would not exist like that. It would all be much more horizontal. There's a button. Okay, I need a slightly higher quality image. I think I have one open over here. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, I saw some of my Malice references open. I don't need those anymore. I finished that drawing. Yeah, it looks like there's a belt under the bust. Yeah. Okay, so... Oh, hey. Oh, well, that's amusing. When I Google... or do the Google image search for Leia Memoria, because I just wanted to find some reference images, the thumbnail for my stream comes up. Oh, that's amusing. Alright. So yeah, in that case, those folds actually won't be like that, because there's going to be like a belt here. Probably right about there, wrap it around. And this also means that everything will be quite thin through there. I don't know if I want it on the same layer as the rest of the dress, but I'll do it like that for now. And then the way the folds on a belt like this would work is that they're just horizontal, kind of like that. So there we go. But I think that's about the right spot. I will double check. I think I could just use this one. Yeah, it is just right under the bust. It might be slightly higher than this. Maybe somewhere around here. This feels long. Is it here? That's long. Look, like I've said, arms are my nemesis. And everything around them just gets so muddled in my head. This feels long, though. Neck feels fine. And if I were to pretend this is a shirt, we'll just give a collar there. Okay, I think I know why it feels long. I think I tucked this in a little bit too much. Gotta pull it out a little. And then I think everything on this side needs to come out. She's just a little bit too thin. And I will let this blow in the wind just a little bit too more. God, that'd even be harder than drawing regular arms. At least with some puffy sleeves like this, I basically get to ignore it. My God, could you imagine having to do high-detailed robot parts? Oh my God, I would die. And we're seeing her slightly from below. So, you know, that's probably also why it feels low or long. Because, yeah, I'm drawing this as though we're seeing it from above. Okay, I need to change the perspective on that. What does it look like? That's a good question. Okay, I'm gonna break out the hot pink. I need my box. Okay. So I'm gonna draw a torso box. It's like this. So we have it like that. We see this side here, and we see the bottom, although it's covered up by her hip. So, you know, don't worry about it. But it's fine, and actually, this should be longer. Okay. So her hips are somewhere around here. So I'm just gonna draw it like that. We see this side, it comes down here, and there we go. I got a rough box. It's not, the perspective on it's kind of bad, but that's okay. And then I have the prism that is the chest. So based on the size of her head, I do think I have the middle in about the right spot. And we'll see the side of it here. I think it probably extends a little bit out into this part. And there we go. Okay. So now I just need to rotate this so that we see more of the bottom. Which means that the point up there should just be a little bit higher. I think the bottom is going to be in about the same spot. But something like that. Like, it's super rough. It doesn't need to be very accurate. It's fine. As long as I get the gist of what I need to do. You know, it's just what I was saying at the beginning of stream, that sometimes I do find it useful to just take a step back and simplify things down. We'll just take where the light becomes a shadow up a little bit higher, and now I think I can raise the waist up a little bit safely. You know what? I think I'm just gonna do it like this. I have had people say that. Yes. It's okay. Get just a nice little puff sleeve. Okay, and is this curving the right direction? I think I actually need it to curve the other direction. Someday I might be able to draw a version 2 of myself. We'll see if that day ever comes. I'd like to someday. But I've just had a lot of other stuff to do, so I haven't had time to put it all together. That and, you know, G2D has been somewhat unstable, so I've been a little bit afraid to start new models. Because, man, I remember I did a model on stream once. I just cut out some official art of something and decided to try to rig it for fun. And not only did it take an eternity, but I nearly lost it like 3 or 4 separate times. And now I just am terrified to start anything serious at the moment. I'm under the impression that the developer of hold on, give me a moment, I need to cough. There we go. It's okay, sickness is mostly gone, but it lingers. So sometimes there are technical difficulties. But yeah, I'm under the impression that the developer of G2D has been working pretty hard on making it more stable, and it sounds like it's getting better. So I'm hopeful it'll all be good by the time the next version rolls out, but it's rough, man. Let's see, does it come directly out of the belt? I think so, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'll see how all that shakes out, but at some point, with any luck, I'll be able to update things, and that'll be fun. Okay, so that all feels a little bit better. So yeah, I just had the perspective on her upper torso a little bit weird. I think it's probably still a little bit weird. I don't think I want them going down quite that much. There we go. Because yeah, I wanted to make it look like we're seeing at her slightly from below, because doing that makes the sky look big. And, you know, any excuse to draw space is a good one. So I wanted to get some of that in there. I was in the mood to draw some space. Now there we go. I think I have all that better. And now hopefully I can make the arm work. Are we good? It doesn't feel long anymore. Nope. So that's gonna be like under the bust. So the waist will probably be like right about there. But it's all kind of just covered up by the dress. So, you know, all that works out for me. I basically don't have to worry about a lot of these shapes. Feels good. Okay. There we go. There we go. And so I think that belt is wrapping around her nicely. Do I want to curve it upward a little bit more? It's not an extreme tilt, so I think if I tried to curve it more, it might be a little bit too much. Maybe just slightly. Just ever so slightly. Then down there to show the angle. Okay, yeah, I think that's good. Okay. So now, I mean, I've already told you I haven't been training. I've been working on Christmas gifts. Alright, so now I can get the shoulder in. Okay, so I think that shoulder looks pretty alright. Let's see. So the sleeve, I believe, poofs out at the elbow. That's kind of how I have it over here, so I'm gonna roll with that. So I think this arm looks pretty good. Maybe I could tone down the perspective on it, but I think it's fine. I like messing with perspective like that. I think it's a good time. Okay. And you know what? I'm just gonna color in the whole thing here. And then I will gradually start breaking out where I think the light hits. So that'll be like right over here. I am on the wrong layer. Okay. So over here, we get it there. This is where the arm will turn. And it all kind of goes back. I think I'm going to keep most of that in shadow. And then I can put, you know, some little folds up in here. Okay, I know what I'm picturing in my head. I just have to think about how to translate this into... Yes, okay. So it'll be like this. And then down here, it'll all start kinda going into the sleeve out like this. I believe something like that will be correct. I hope. Okay. And we get some light parts where it's all floofy and stuff like that. Does this feel like it is actually connected to everything yet? No. No, it doesn't. That is... Okay, I need to go back and get my little sushi roll here. Okay, so we have arm. And we have this piece that connects out here. That's not the way it goes. It goes back this way. Okay. Does any of this start rolling into here? I don't think so, actually. Okay, so that's probably what I'm doing wrong. Alright, so what I got from that is that this highlight is wrong. And I should... let it kind of bundle up a bit down there, too. Make it a bit rounder. So like that, and then... I might just keep all of this in shadow, actually. Maybe just a little bit of light up here. Yeah, that might work, actually. Maybe it needs more shadows, but I think that this is fine for now. I can read it. So I think I'll just leave it there, and I'll call that good for that arm. Except maybe it's a little skinny. Let's see here. And I want it to be tight up until the elbow. Right about there. The sleeve, that is. And then it gets very, very poofy. And I think this part needs to be a bit longer. So let's see. Gotta move her hand back. Okay, and then I'm just gonna stretch this out. Actually, I think it'll be easier with my selection. There we go, so I'll stretch it out. It's still gonna cover most of the hand. I just wanted to make her forearm a little bit longer here. And now I think all is well. Okay, and then I can add the little folds building up around the elbow. Okay, I think that's probably acceptable for now. Her arm, little skinny up here. So I'll still fix those little things. But I think this part's looking okay, and I think this is showing the turn okay. We'll see how I feel about it in 5 minutes. And whether or not it's doing the job. I think it's always good to look away from things, but yeah, I think this is looking pretty okay. Let me erase some of the body kind of sticking through there, and just a couple of the other little things that are bothering me. But yeah, I think that reads okay. Right now, all the colors kind of blend in with each other, and that's fine. I'll fix it. It won't be like that forever. I'm just kind of trying to get all the elements in. Hold on, I got another cough. Okay. So let's see, what's the next thing I want to do? You know what? I think I want to do a bit of lighting. I think it is time. As usual, I'm going to do the character and the background separately. In this case, it's kind of this area that we're sitting in that I think needs a little bit of special lighting. The stuff back here, not so much. And let's see. Do I feel like this hand is too big? Maybe slightly. Yeah, I think for what I'm going for, it's a little big. I want the perspective here to be a little bit more gentle. I'm not doing crazy perspective like I am with BB. BB perspective is enough to drive me crazy for now. This one is just, you know, nice and soft. All right. Gonna make her a little bit bigger. This does mean I'll probably have to adjust that arm a little, but you know what? It's for the best. Let's see, I have a rule of thirds thing here, right? Okay, and I want to move her arm out here. Okay. Look, work with arms is never done. They're important, or more accurately, I should say, the hands are really important. And so I'm just kind of aligning them with certain key points on a basic rule of thirds grid. Just because I do think such things can help. I mean, when it comes down to it, I still mostly compose by intuition. But these kinds of things can help if you're not sure what to do, or something just feels wrong no matter what you do. And in this case, I'm just using the cross sections where these lines meet to kind of put important elements. So the face and the hands, mostly. Or at least this hand. No one cares about this hand. This hand is just in the back doing back things. So it doesn't matter as much. Okay. Now, there we go. And then, you know, other than things that are just obviously unfinished, I think that's pretty okay. I think her head is big. Or maybe her body is just small. Alright. So yeah, I do think my next goal is probably going to be lighting. But before I do lighting, I do like to make sure everything is in place. Because, well, if I adjust the size of things, the lighting is often not properly adjusted with it. And so things get weird, and then I have to do more work to adjust the lighting in the end, and, you know, it's all just kind of a big mess. So if I can get my proportions and composition right first, you know, it's good to do so. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe scooch you over just a little bit. So how did things look before all those adjustments? I just want to take a look. Okay, so we were here. Now we're here. Oh yeah, that's way better. Okay, cool. That's one thing I like about digital too, is that I actually can go back and just, you know, check everything. I can get before and after, and it is fantastic. It is a good time. And then I can really see if the changes that I made were better, because I can compare. So, there we go. I just wanted her to be a little bit bigger there, take up a little bit more space. She is the focal point, of course. As much as I want to draw a space background, nope, it's still all about Leia. Alright. So let's see here. Let's see. What do I want to do next? You know, I should probably finish the veil on her head. But after that... Yeah, I think I'm gonna finish the veil on her head before I do lighting. Just because leaving it half done is making it look a little weird. So I'm gonna go turn off the sun for a second. It's a little bit in the way. And I'll figure out what to do about this. So if we're seeing it slightly from below, I shouldn't have it sitting on her head like that. It needs to sit on her head like this. Yes. That is perfect. Oh yes, just, you know, when you're the artist, you can do whatever you want. You want to turn off the sun, you can turn off the sun. If it's in the way, then you can get rid of it. It's wonderful. I enjoyed a lot. Okay, and I definitely gotta want my shadow colors for this. So we're gonna see like a little bit of the underside there. Okay, and how does this connect exactly? Just like that? Yes. Yes, I do believe that is correct. I mean, the shape is still a bit weird, but it's okay. It'll get there. No, I don't think that's quite right. Let's see. I need to scribble. I need to scribble. That'll help. Let's get that scribbling in there. Scribbling is great for folds. There we go. So there's the under part that I was seeing in my mind. It's like that. And then on this side, scribble. There we go. That's a bit better. I don't know, maybe I should scribble with a different color. Sure, let's use black. We'll scribble with black for a little bit. Okay, and then we get the next big fold here. This will come up like this. Oh man, doing lines. Feels weird. Is that what I want to do? Yes, there we go. And then it'll come up. How far down does it go? About midway down her back. Okay, and then we'll see a little bit of it down there, but I think I'm going to do that on a separate layer. I don't want things to get in the way. Okay. So I think I have a basic thing here, so let's go ahead and get the backside in. And I don't think I need any help with that. Actually, I can probably just use the blue for this. What exactly do you look like? Oh, he has some lacy things. No, I think that's just shading. Okay, So yes, I will use the blue. I should do that instead of the shadow color in the first place, actually. What shape is the back? Square. Okay. So now I'll just color everything in and it'll be easy, and that kind of thing is always really nice. Okay, and now I just get those underneath parts up here on the main thing. At some point I'll get rid of this black line, but I can leave it in for now. It's fine. It's not really hurting anything. That's not how it connects, is it? Can you tell? I have never drawn something like this before. Unironically, I have never actually drawn veils before. Literally never. So I'm kind of feeling out how it works. And it's not like that, is it? How do these things work? Let me get the front side before I get too much further into the back side. Let's see, I think I want that part to be in shadow and this too. So I'll just go fill that in. Everything will be a little bit messy for now. I mean, it is okay. You gotta start somewhere. Okay, let's make sure this actually wraps around her head. I might need to flatten some of the hair a bit, but that's okay. I can do that. So like that, and then... where do we see underneath? Exactly. That is my question. I feel like we see underneath through here. I do feel like we see underneath through here. And through here. And here. And yeah, okay, so I was doing it right. I was doing it right. It's okay. I'm not quite sure if I have all these shapes right, but it's a start, and I think this is fine for now. I'll probably go mess around with it a lot when it comes time to render the head and stuff. But, you know, it's not yet time for that. It's not. So I'm not going to worry about it. Let's go ahead and fit her hair inside, and then I can adjust this as I need to in order to, you know, make it look like her head's not caved in, and important stuff like that. Okay. So now I can kind of start more delicately painting in some of this. I said I was going to do it later, but I guess I changed my mind. It's fine. Happens all the time. Okay, so let's get that in there. Oh yeah, I think it's coming together. Get a little shadow in here. Okay. And then on this side, I feel like we probably need to see a little bit more of it. It's going to be a little bit less choppy than this side. Because here, I think certain frills kind of disappear behind other ones and that kind of thing. There we go. Yeah, I think this is starting to look pretty nice. Okay, and now I can kind of start doing the same thing on this side, but like I said, I think the pleats are going to be a little bit less strong here. So they'll mostly kind of exist on top of each other. I think that's correct. I'm just going to use the dark color here to separate it from the dress, but at some point I'll put a shadow color on the dress itself. But I just want to keep my drawing on this layer for now. For now. At some point things might change a little. But this is fine for now. Okay. And I think this works. Okay, and yeah, I think that's fine for now. I will probably have to, man, refine that a lot by the time I'm done. But it does feel like it's sitting on her head and all is well. I do think this is going to be one of the first things I render just because it's on top of her head. And I always like to go from top to bottom. But I want to do some lighting, so let's do it. Okay, I think I want something slightly darker than this. Man. Okay. So here we go. This is where I get the backlighting in, and I think this is going to be the point where everything starts to look really cool. So let's do that. Is this too dark? It might be, actually. I might have overdone it a little. So I'm just going to strongly... Actually, I don't think anything in the back of the veil and the hair should be dark. Maybe a little bit on the hair. Just a little. Here should have a little, but I don't want any of that blue part to be dark. And nothing on the inner part of the sleeve either. I want her clothes to look very, how to say, translucent, like the light is shining through them. So any part that has skin or anything from her body blocking it, like in the middle of the dress here, that will be light. But anything that doesn't will be very, very, very light. And that kind of effect can look very cool when you do it right. You can really see the shadows of her body and stuff. It's really cool, and I like it a lot. So I'm gonna try to do it like that. I think this hair braids are actually a little thick. And I'm gonna need to rethink how her hair is moving. Because right now it's clipping through the veil, and that's not gonna work. So, I'm gonna have to figure that out. Braids a little thicker than normal hair, so I'll put a little bit kind of in the middle. Okay, so there we go. There's the dark part. Let's get the light part. Normally, I'd be using yellow for this, but I think this time I'm going to use pink. Just because I got this lovely pink stuff going on in the background, and this color is way too light. I figured as much. Okay. And then I think I still want a little bit kind of around her cheeks there. Get a little bit of light going in through here. Definitely some of the side here. And how do I want to light this? Probably kind of like this. Get it going down her arms and into the sleeve. And this is going to be what makes everything look really, really translucent. And it'll be great. A lot of this hair gotta be bright pink. Everything here just pink everywhere. I always feel like this is the point where everything just really comes together. I love the lighting. And I might need a couple of different colors, because I think this looks really good for the face, maybe just a little bit too saturated. But overall, that's about what I want for the face, but for the clothes, I do feel like it's a little bit too bright. So now that I have a good color for the face, I'm going to try to find what I want for her clothes. Right about there, I think. Alright, so I'm going to pick that color. And sometimes I make a separate layer for this, but I kind of don't feel like it. So I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna paint directly where I want the slightly different color. I do that sometimes when I don't feel like managing extra layers, which is often. I don't think it really matters that much in the end. So I'll just put this slightly darker color on the clothes, so that this way it can have that nice glow to it. And that's about what I want there. And you know, at some point there's probably going to be like a little bit on the nose right here. Oh, I still have it locked. A little bit on the nose. Be a little bit around the eye. I don't know. But something like that. I might make her eyes glow a little bit, but we'll get something like this. And that's sufficient for starting. Alright, I want to do the same for the background now. Okay, so... And the curtains, I think I'm just going to draw on directly, because that's the only thing I'm putting in the foreground. But I will go ahead and light this. Just because things will look a little unpleasant until I do. And we'll let a little bit of glow come on in. And then the rest will just be dark. I still don't know if I like this dark color right now. I might need to make it a little lighter or darker. I'm not actually sure for the moment. But for now, I'll just use this one until I'm ready to be more accurate. This is fine for now. Totally fine for now. And we'll give each of these railings a shadow. Leia herself, I don't think needs a shadow because light source coming from mostly this direction and it'll cast this way toward the viewer, so I don't think she needs one. Okay. And the last thing I'd need to wrangle is like this planet. So sure, let's get a little bit of stuff down there just so I can call it good and make sure that everything is the way I want it to be. So let's see. Just thinking about how I want to go about this. I think I'm just gonna pick color here. And I'm gonna start drawing the gas giant effects. I do love gas giant clouds. They're so cool. They are wonderful. I love space. It is beautiful and terrifying, as all good things are. Okay, that's good there. Let's pick a very bright color now. I'm gonna go into the yellows. But not all things are beautiful and terrifying. Some are one or the other, and some are neither. But I argue that most of the best things are beautiful and terrifying. So we'll just scribble this in for now, and yeah, I think something like that is probably fine for my purposes. I'll go ahead and add a little dark spot in there. And then just some stuff going around, and yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So now we'll do the same thing with the rings here. I'll go ahead and start with the dark color again. I like starting with the dark. Is that color too hot? I think so. Only sometimes. Most flowers are pretty safe, for example. So I'm just going to add a few dark spots here. I'm not going to go too hard on it. I don't think I need too many. Okay. But the light spots, I think, are going to be where things get interesting here. All right. So let's really get those lights in. Let's really get those light spots in there, doing happy light things, and I think that's perfect. I don't think it needs that much, but it does need some special lighting. It does. So, once again, I'm going to take my dark, and at some point I have to decide if I want this to be soft or hard. In terms of color blending. You know, I probably should decide that soon, actually. But choices are hard, and I'm not quite sure. I am not. Did I get the clouds in there somehow? Oh no, I just don't have it clipped. There we go. Okay, and light. I think for this one, I will use the light on her face. But this is why I wanted to do a little bit of lighting now, because, man, that's just when everything starts looking good. And I can actually kind of believe in what I drew. before then, I just kind of got to believe in the process and trust that I know what I'm doing. And sometimes that's hard. But at this point, things start looking pretty okay. And then I can really believe. Okay. So there we go, that's a pretty good start, and I think I just want a slight color filter over the whole thing. So I'm gonna just make a separate layer here. I'm not sure what blend mode to use, but I know roughly what color I want. I want a kind of slight purple to it. So I'll just experiment with colors and everything, and yeah, there we go. No, I think this looks about what I want. Yeah, everything just a little bit more purple. Maybe not that much. There we go. Okay, yeah, things are looking pretty all right now. I think it's showing what I want to show. So, I do have a lot I need to do in order to make this background look nicer, but in general, I think this shows the gist. And now I can kind of believe in the composition. But I always feel like I have to get the proportions of the character right before I can really know. So, okay. So yeah, now that I have the basics down, I can fix things like her hair clipping through the veil and stuff like that. And I think that'll actually be really easy, because all I have to do is move the veil a little bit. So I'm gonna hide everything I just did, and we're gonna go back to this mode, and I'm gonna go kill the sun again. I don't need it right now. I'm sure all life on the planet won't die while I'm working on something else. It'll be fine. Alright. So, veil here. I'm just gonna go ahead and liquefy that, and we are going to send it on top. I'm gonna bring it out like that, and then the hair will be in front, and it will continue down here until it connects with the back. And it's okay, you know? There doesn't have to be fault with everything. It doesn't have to be anyone's fault. It's all good. Sometimes things just are what they are. Alright. So there we go. Now it's not clipping into her hair. We kind of got that going out a little bit stronger. I think I might want this one to connect up here, actually. Let's see. Do I like that? Do I feel like that is more correct? I am not sure. No, I don't think that's more correct. Okay. It's like this. They're overlapping. It's all good. I'll send it out a little bit further then. What am I doing? I don't know. That's a good question. That is a good question. I think that's okay. But yeah, it's getting to the point where it's going to be like one of the next things that I refine. I'm going to go ahead and get most of the rest of our accessories going. I kind of want to know where they will be when it's time to render. So I think the next thing is actually going to be the wings. Because those are pretty big. So, order I plan on doing things. I want to get her wings. I want to get the vestments back down. Does she have a ring? Yeah, she's got a couple of rings. Okay. Oh yeah, so that means she wears gloves. So her hand should not be skin toned. They should be white. I'll leave them skin toned for now, just so I can see the difference. I don't think I'll put her rings on for now. Okay. We don't see the ends of her hair, so I get to have an easier time there. Okay, yeah, let's get the wings. So those will be behind her. I think they're going to be even behind the veil. So I'll put them here. Alright, about... where do they sit on her anyway? I'd say about halfway down her arm. Or the upper part of her arm. And a fair distance away from her, so... I don't know if they move with her arms. I can't actually remember from the last time I watched her how they move. But I'm going to assume that they don't move with her arms, because that would be a pain to rig. So, I will believe in that. So if it's about halfway up where her arms would be if they were at rest, I think that's about... this is the elbow, probably right about there. And from the other one, right about here. Okay, so that'll be where the little star bits are. Then they'll just kind of go up and do cute little wing things. Oh, I do not have the right color selected. There we go. So they'll go up and do cute little wing things. This one is mostly covered up. I'll let it kind of open up a little bit over here. Just so we can see it at least a little. I think this is sufficient for the time being. Okay. So that'll be where those goes, and fortunately it looks like, at least in my current composition, they are mostly covered up, so I won't have to do too much. But I've been drawing lots of birds lately, so I actually kind of understand how feathers work now. Okay, so there we go. We got wings. Let's go ahead and draw the rest of the vestment. Right now I have it gold because it would be an absolute pain to draw in more white right now. So I'm just going to leave it gold for the time being. Okay, so how does this thing work? You know what? I'm gonna go find some nice references out on the internet here. How does this thing work? That's a good question. So I can tell that they open up on the side, but exactly how is a little hard to tell. Oh no, this is a good one. Okay, nice. All right. So let's see, where do we see the side? I do think we see the side a little bit out on this one. Okay, where are her shoulders? I'm gonna hide the veil just so I can draw this accurately. Okay, so I think this is sitting on her shoulders decently. I'll still pretend like she's like wearing a shirt. Just because it helps me see the perspective a little bit more easily. I think this part is all good. I think I did a pretty good job on that. Good job, Pastel. You did great. All right. Then where is the side? probably right about here. So there's a big cut going in it like this, and it is outlined in gold. But as far as I can tell, that is the only place that it is being cut into. I will check a few more images just to make sure. But yes, anytime I see even a slightly simplified version, that is how it looks. So I'll let this part flutter because I think it'll look nice. Fluttering clothes do look nice. And it'll go back behind the sleeve, and this part I think will just go back. Is the inside a different color, or is it white all the way through? That is the next question. You know, I'm not sure. I don't see any art where we see the inside. How awkward. In which case, I probably get to make it up. I'll probably just leave it white. Okay. Oh yeah, I'll probably just leave it white. So I'll just fill it in with gold for now. And I'll do the same thing over here, except on this one, I think the side is off screen. So we just get a little bit of kind of a something like this, where we kind of see this split there. I'm going to leave a little gap just to make the perspective clear to me. This is, you know, where maybe I'd use a darker color sometimes, but right now I'm just going to leave a hole. And it'll wrap around like this. You'll let it flutter, and there we go. I think that should look pretty good. I guess I will start coloring it now. Let's see. Because, yeah, I think I can start afford making certain parts white since this is gold trim. And I can already tell, you know, she's got those gold things going down the shoulder there. I'm not quite sure how they work. On this picture, her hands are in the way. So I'm just going to start with this. Adding in the shadows where I deem it necessary. So that, yeah, that'll be right here. Where the arm goes out. Okie dokie. And then on here, I don't think we get any gold, actually. The gold is somewhere else and I already covered it up. So I will put that back. It's actually like this. There we go. Okay, yep, that looks good to me. Let's see, how do I feel about how it's sitting on the shoulders there? I can do that better. I could definitely do that better. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that looks 100 times better. Like, that wasn't even a hard change. Okay, back to the layer being locked. I want to see where I put my arms and stuff. Then back here, we'll get a nice, lovely dark color, and everything here will just be dark. I'll go ahead and fill it in. And I guess this means I can leave a little bit of gold trim on the inside if I'm going to do it like that. And I think I will. Alright, and there we go. I think that's you know, sufficient. So let's figure out how these little gold parts work. What are they actually doing? I'm not sure. Okay, so she has like a gold necklace and then I'll call it a gold belt because I'm not sure what else it is. I think I'll add those accessories on a separate layer. Let me see if I can find the rest. So I have no idea what that is. Is that like part of the sleeve? Because unfortunately it goes down low enough that, you know, the bust up that you typically see in VTubers, not showing. It doesn't show the part that I'm looking at. It'd be this guy here, this log one. It goes down low enough. I think it might just be part of the sleeve. But it is not clear to me. Ah, okay, I understand now. Okay, so that part is this. So basically what it's saying... So this part is going to be underneath on here, but on this side we have a gold part that just runs all the way up to the corner of her shoulder here. Okay, and I don't need my hot pink. I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay. So it just runs all the way up to the shoulder, and then the sleeve goes back. This still doesn't look quite right. Let me adjust things. Again, this V-neck thing does not exist in reality, but it's useful to help me figure out perspective, so I draw it anyway. It is so much easier. It is. It does make my life a lot easier. Okay, let's see. Let's get the perspective on this a little bit better. I actually do think it's pretty good, but I'm a little bit off. Still feel like it's a little bit off through here. Normally I do the trim on a separate layer, and I still might. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab all the gold parts here, and instead of cutting and pasting, I'm going to copy and paste. And then I'm going to put these into a group. And now I'm going to paint over everything here. And one moment. Man, being sick is the worst, I swear. It's alright, it's getting there. Alrighty. So I'm not going to be able to see a thing, but I have the layer locked, so it's fine. Can't color outside the lines. I am okay. Like, it just takes some time to completely get over everything. The thing invading my body is desperate to live, even though I am trying my best to kill it as quickly as possible. And desperation is always hard to beat. But okay, there we go. So now I got all the things on a different layer, and I'll have an easier time cleaning this up. Okay. Let's get the belts in there. What do they look like? Okay. So they just kind of hang around her neck, I guess. I still have no idea what these things are supposed to be, but they are there on the design, so I guess I'll go ahead and draw them. There we go. Something like that should work. And then they had the little... I think I might be having them go a little bit too low. Yeah, they barely go over here. Oh no. Okay, there it goes. So just kind of like that. Okay. And I guess I'll go ahead and draw the brooch too. Why did I call it a brooch instead of a brooch? There we go. Oh, that was incredibly silly. Put that below the belt, and I am not going to try to get this accurate yet because, oh man, it is a detailed little thing. So I think I'm just going to leave it as a circle for now. How big is it? I think I might actually have... No, we're good. I have everything correct. So this will be a moon later. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, so I'm just going to leave it like that for now. And I think this is fine until it's basically time to render it, but I just wanted to be there. Okay. Let's go turn the veil back on, and at some point I'm going to have to draw this correctly. It is so not correct right now, but you know what? That's a job for future me. Present me, gotta finish her accessories. So let's get this halo thing going on her. Is it going above her head? Okay, no, it is sitting on there, but on the back of her head. So we're not actually going to see very much of it. Let's see. You know what? I think this is a job for perspective tools. Let's do it. I recently learned how to use this thing, and it's really cool. Okay. So basically... yeah, that's totally wrong. It's fine. Let's just kill that. What makes this really nice is that I can kind of figure out the width of it. I think... It sits on the back of her head, so probably something like here to here. And then I can figure out the perspective of the circle, like this. And then from there, I can get the brush tool and snap to the assists, and then I can just, in theory, draw a nice... Oh, I still have you set to erase. A nice circle. Okay, cool. So it's a little thick, but, you know, somewhere around there. I think it's a little small, too. But yeah, you know, if I drew that, got that initial assist right, I think that would have been good, but I'm still new to using it. I think I have this going the wrong way is the thing. Let's send it a little further back here, and I will just liquefy it into place. But yeah, once I get used to that, I think it'll be really useful for drawing circles. I've been using it for some perspective stuff off stream, and I am very much enjoying it. So I'm glad I discovered it. Krita has lots of useful functions that I have just never touched. Okay, and then I think I want it to be a little closer to her head. And I'm gonna blot at it with liquefy a little bit more. Kind of perfect the shape I want. I find this a little bit easier than using my guides. In fact, I think I'm gonna kill this guy right now. I don't think I need it at the moment. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that is way thick. I'm gonna start erasing at it. But I think I have the angle roughly okay. I might still prod at it just a little bit. Just because this will be one of the early things that I render, so I want to make sure it's looking pretty okay here. Alright, and then I'll start getting in some of the little shapes on it. Got like a little diamond here. Okay, little tiny diamond here. Little tiny diamond here. And then what are those dots? There's like some dots going around the halo. What the heck are those? I definitely don't have any of these the right shape yet, but you know, that's fine. I know roughly where they are, but it looks like there's just like some little dots orbiting this, kind of like that. Okay. So there we go. I'll get that all looking right at some point. And then we got these big diamond things. Let's get the trim on the veil too. That'll probably actually help me draw it as well. Okay. What is that? Oh, the wing, of course. Okay. Me, not knowing the thing I just drew. It's fine, it happens all the time. Okay. And then I do think that there is a little bit on the backside here, but I'm just going to put it on the same layer. I don't think that'll be an issue. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if my future self hates me. She does sometimes. It's fine. She can deal with it. I do try to be kind to my future self, but I have my limits. Okay. And over here, down and around, and then it'll come like around her body there. Okay. So yeah, this still is drawn kind of ambiguously. I will have to go over this again, but I think this is a pretty reasonable start. Okay. Now, whatever the heck these things are. I'll call them stars. So it looks like it connects kind of at the side of her head here. And I think this is too small, but I think the shape is roughly correct. And then the other one is going to be like on the backside here. I think we see a little bit of the bottom. Maybe a little bit of the side kind of going back behind. But not a lot. Yeah, that looks pretty okay. I think, like I said, I think they're a little bit small, but besides that, I think that's good. So I will make this one bigger. Maybe not that big. Like right about there. Okay. Okay, and I think that's all of the accessories there, so let's get her glasses. Looks like her glasses are gold as well. Let's see. And they are large. They are very, very large. And to be fair, I think I draw the eyes a little bit wider and closer together than this artist does, so I can't really use their proportions to help me with placement. That is so not in perspective, but you know what? It's all good. It's all good. It's amazing how much glasses can change the way a person looks. She looks way different now that I've actually put them on. Alright, and then we got the forehead thing. What is that? A circle with a star and then some beads. Okay, easy. How big is it? It's pretty big. So I'll say like maybe right about there. Then I can hollow out the circle. It's thin, right? Yeah, it's pretty thin. It's pretty thin. There we go. And then star. I'm gonna do this on a separate layer because I'm scared. Okay. So something like that. I'm gonna draw the blue gem later. I just kind of want to get the gist of it in here for now. And then there are little beads wrapping it around her head. Okay. So something like that. Let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, we got some decorations around the dress. So I got that. Oh yeah, and there's also a little belt buckle. We'll see if I move the cloth belt here onto its own layer, but there is a little buckle right there. I'll just leave it as a circle. So I'm just going to start going down her design now, so that we got all these belts that this bag sits on. I know that should be above the belt buckle. Okay. So this kind of sits on her hip over here. We're not going to see very much of it, but that's okay. Little belts coming out to connect it to the rest of her dress over here. So probably kind of like this. That looks pretty good to me. And then we get one kind of wrapping around her side here. Kind of like that. And I think that is fine for now. We see like the top of those magic circles. About how far down is this? No, I don't think we see that. We do see this wing though. At least a little bit of it. I'll just go ahead and draw it in pink. Yeah, I'm just gonna draw it in pink. So it starts kind of up here. It'll be kind of on her backside there. And then it'll like wrap around. Kind of like this. I think that's accurate. Then it'll go down the dress. The bottom, I think, is somewhere like over here. And they will kind of come together about halfway through. So yeah, I think these angles are good. And I'll just leave it pink for now. And I do think that this should be curving the other way. Let's see if I can get that looking right. Okay, there we go. So somewhere around there. That seems good to me for now. I'll make it look like a wing later. But I do think I do think that is all of her accessories. We'll see if I need more, if I missed anything as I go through. I guess there was a little bit of trim on the dress. I should add that. I'll go ahead and add that. It's just around the sleeves. Oh yeah, that's right. You're not part of the dress. You are on your own layer. Well, let's go ahead and get that on. Then actually, I think after I get this, I want to start designing the background before I get too far into rendering her, because I want to make these columns look pretty. And I think that is the next step here. Pretty columns. After I get the trim on the sleeves, of course. I want to get that first. I want to get all of her details in. At least messily. I think her frills are sticking out a little bit too much too, but let's adjust that while I'm here. Everything should be pretty accurate at this point. You know, reasonably. Okay. There we go. I think I've got most everything on. I'm gonna go ahead and add the dark and light to her wings, because I think that's the only thing that really changed super strongly while I was doing this. So I'll go ahead and plop that onto the wings too. Let's see, I think only this front part that's overlapping is gonna have dark. The rest will be light. Oh no, I should use the clothes one, because they are white. And it'll make them look nice and translucent, and it'll just be really pretty, and it'll make me happy, and I'll just be like, yay! Pretty stuff. Okay, there we go. So there'll probably end up being some more light in like her glasses and stuff, but, you know, I'll get there at the end. We're still very much in messy mode. But yeah, so far so good, I think. Let me turn the sun back on. And let the sun live once more. Okay. Yeah, she definitely has the grandma feel now. So, I think I'm doing it right. Alright. So, from there, I want to look at some of the architecture samples that I got. I'll leave the lighting on her, but I'll take it off the balcony so that this way I can sanely work on that. So let's see, what kind of things do I want to do? What kind of architecture is this? What inspiration do I need to steal in order to make it look like it's part of the same culture? It looks very Roman to me. So I'll probably roll with that. And you know, I'm surprised that here has the Roman influences and not Chiron. But yeah, I'm just looking at the types of columns here. And that seems about right. I mean, I guess when it comes down to it, it's just fantasy. Oh yeah, Roman, Greek. They're kind of adjacent. Probably a little bit of a mix. But that's what it looks like to me. With stained glass, but I'm not going to be drawing stained glass here. You can bet that someday I'll probably draw a stained glass Leia, because she is just asking for it. Okay. But yes, that will be a job for a different day. And all I can tell you right now, I'll be basing those railings on that. I'll probably base it somewhat on these columns, but a little different. Roman railings kind of had a different feel to them. And then the curtains are going to have some nice lacy patterns. So let me go look at some stuff then. Let me go look. Okay, and that was about what I was picturing in my head, so... And indeed, they're about the same in Greece. Okay, so yeah, I'll just do it like that since it was my initial thought. Alright. So what I'm gonna do, because drawing all of them would be an absolute pain, I'm gonna go ahead and clear things and let my shadows kind of guide where I was expecting things to go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my symmetry tool and I'm only gonna draw one of them because I don't hate myself. So here we go. And you know what? I'm a digital artist, so I get to use all of the digital tools to cheat as much as I want. So I'm gonna draw in symmetry. And I think what I'm going for will be like immediately clear once I kind of start here. And I want a shadow color to work with too, so let's get that. Oh, it's like a little darker than that. That's a little too dark. This looks good. Okay. I am satisfied. Alright. And I think I'm gonna put them in messily for now, but I'm gonna keep this layer as my reference to bring in later. So that this way I can render it once I'm actually ready to render them and I don't have to do it right now. Because I'm not quite ready. I'm not. Not yet. Alright, so now I can just get these shapes in. And with the power of a symmetry tool, it's really easy. Really, really easy. I appreciate you, symmetry tool. You make my life easier all the time. Okay. So there we go, and from here, it's gotta come in. Gonna see this. I think we probably stop seeing the bottom of things by the time we get to the bottom here. So I'll keep my shadowed parts a little bit smaller than I was for the top. There we go. And then here, and then a solid block for it to sit on. That's about the same width as up here. And there we go. That's the kind of railing that I want. And then at some point, I think I'm probably going to add some like additional carvings and stuff. Greek railings don't really have that, but I don't care. I think it'll look really nice. Actually, a lot of these things don't have that, but you know what? I still don't care. I think it'll look really nice. So I think that's what I will do when the time comes. So let's go ahead and put my little columns into place here. They're a little bit big. I expected that. And I think I'm going to have to add a few more just based on how they, you know, work in the culture I'm stealing from. And I'll go ahead and keep them fairly flat and out of perspective for now. They can get a little bit more detailed when the time comes. I should put you... Yeah, where that one would go. I want to keep the distance about right. But for now, just gonna keep things pretty simple. I'll make this one just a touch bigger, since he's going kind of a little bit closer than the rest. Okay, and like I said, actually in that case I shouldn't merge them all yet. I do think that the culture I'm stealing from put them a little closer together, so I will do that. Let's see, do I want to do half or thirds? Thirds. Okay. So that will put 2 between each. And I'm gonna try to get them roughly in perspective here. It's okay if they're not properly sitting on the balcony yet. That's not really important for the time being. And I'll just plop in all these extra ones. And we'll start decorating things, and it'll be great. I want a cool mosaic sitting on the ground here. I'm not quite sure what it's gonna look like yet, but I kind of want a cool mosaic because I think it'll be cool. I think it kind of comes with the name, but yeah, I think it'll be really cool. And all of these are gonna have to be all of these railing bits are gonna have to be adjusted separately at some point. But I don't really think I have to do that yet. I don't want to be going into too much detail before I finish drawing Leia, because she's going to be covering a lot of these. And it just doesn't really make sense to go too hard on it. It doesn't. Okay, it's railing toe. That's fine. So I'll go ahead and start drawing in the top part now. I probably moved it a little. I should fix that. When I deleted the railing, I forgot that I also deleted that. Let's get Leia back in there so I know where it should be, roughly. Yeah, I made it too short. It's gotta be this tall. I didn't notice it until the shadows that I put on did not line up anymore. Oh well, it's okay. I will fix that. Make them all a little bigger. Some of them will go off screen, that's fine. Okay, actually, I think I want the balcony to be below all of these. Let's get it attached. There we go. That's pretty nice for now. I still need to kind of adjust it, but it's nice for now. Kind of bring the liquefy in and start putting this where I think it needs to go. A lot of things can still be in a state of it's fine for now. I have not yet reached the point where I'm trying to finish everything, so it's all good. And some things, you know, as always, I will draw. Some things I will liquefy. Just whatever I think is going to be easier for the moment. And I think I'm going to have to adjust these shadows just so I get to see everything looking nice. I do like it when everything looks nice. Okay, so there we go. I think something like that'll be okay. I don't know. I think it's a little high up, isn't it? Okay. Oh, I do not want to mess with you. I'll keep you in the group, but I do not want to mess with you. Okay, I might need to lower her hand a little bit. It's all good. Okay, so I just want to adjust the skew in perspective. I wasn't quite satisfied with how over here looked, for example. So I'm gonna skew it a little bit and see if I can't get it looking the way I want. But this is exactly why I wanted this one up here untouched. Because now I have something I can safely copy and paste from if I ever just totally flub things and make everything terrible. It's nice to have the backup. It makes me feel safe. Makes me a little bit more adventurous with my experiments. I do not have the right color. It is slightly filtered by purple. Let's get the right color. There we go. Still feel like all of these are too short. Lift it up. Lift it up. Adjust accordingly. Get them all in there. There's one over here that's not quite right. Probably more than one, actually, but the other ones are, you know, behind Leia, so it's fine. Okay, and now we just kind of come over here. This entire thing is the wrong color. There we go. Alright, how's this looking? I think the skew over here is a little bit too strong, so I'm gonna kind of undo that. I like the skew over here, though. I think that works really well. And then from here, how do I feel about things? I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the dark for just a second. I still feel like the whole thing is a little bit small. Let me see here. Let me see here. Because, you know, I was trying to get a perspective that was from a little bit below, and I still feel like this is going up a little bit high for that. So I'm gonna bring it down a little. Gonna bring this down a little. Just a little. I don't think I have to do too much there. And then I'm gonna make all of these bigger again. And at this point, I feel like I have lost everything so hard that I'm not sure if I'll ever get it back. So at some point, I'm just gonna have to go in and replace all these, but at the very least, I can kind of get the basic sizing in. Know roughly where it's all gonna go. And that'll make my life easier a little bit later. We'll be nice to the future self for now and just kind of get the gist in. Let things look a little funny, it's fine. But there we go. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. I will have to adjust the planet and stuff. But I think that it is showing the perspective I want just a little bit better. Okay. Okay, and once again, I do feel like these guys are a little bit overly skewed. So I'm gonna straighten them just a little bit here. Okay, yeah, the distances, they're not quite right, but I think it's close enough for the time being, and I will just fix these things a little bit later. So for now, I kind of want to get in the shadows again. With all my new columns. Since I do have some new ones. And I'll get the lights too. Because I like the idea of just, you know, some nice lights kind of filtering through the columns. I think it'll be pretty cool. And a little bit around the edge. And this also tells me that I have some changes that are necessary in a few places with the shadows, so I'll go back and do those. But I think this will look really nice once it's done. I am quite happy with the progress so far. I am. Okay, so I'll get some shadow on the columns. And you know, that might actually be enough. I do like the idea of a small mosaic, but it might actually be a little too much. So maybe instead what I'll do... I'll go into the balcony layer, I'll grab my shadow color here. That's why I had to hide all the layers. And I'll just add... some little ridges. Just like that. And maybe, you know, there's a slight hint of a stair here with I don't know, some tiles. And I can just do something like this. And I think that might be fine. With no further decoration here. Having a statue or something might make sense too, but I think it'll be a bit much. So we'll just do it like that. I think that's perfect. Just, you know, not with my railing template floating in the sky. No, we don't need a floating railing. That's incredibly silly. So I'll just turn that off. Okay. One moment. But there we go. I think that's most of the composition wrangled. I do have some stuff I gotta do out there. I think I'm gonna raise the opacity on the curtains a little. Yes, okay. I'll go ahead and add some shadow colors to this now. We'll let them be very flippy and flopping around, looking nice. There we go, give those some presence, and I still think I want them to be just a little bit lacy. Just a little bit, but I don't want to go super hard on it. So I am looking at, you know, Greek and Roman inspired curtains. And lace. Just to kind of get some ideas for what I would like to do. So their patterns are very, very geometric. Does a very geometric pattern suit everything here? I might go more with the stained glass type thing. But I don't know. Their patterns are pretty geometric. I should just go for something star-themed, I think. Yes, I think that'll be very nice. Okay. So I think for this, I'm going to steal the color of Leia's clothes. And, oh, I am on the wrong group. There we go. I'm going to steal this color for what I'm trying to do here. Alright, so I'm going to have just a little thing, kind of... Alright, I got to hide her for a second, just so I can actually draw this and see what I'm doing. We'll hide everything. We're just going to have a nice, easy curtain here. Okay. So this will all still be very rough, but I kind of want to get the gist of what I'm going for. Then after that, I have a little bit more stuff I want to do with the clouds in the back, in the mountains. But I think after that, that'll be composition wrangled. And hopefully next time I can start rendering Leia. Someday I'll be able to get these lines parallel, okay? I guess I shouldn't worry about placeholder stuff too much, since I'm probably just going to delete everything on this layer when the time comes. So sure, I'm not going to care. I'll let it be messy. It's all good. Okay. You know, when it comes time to properly clean this, then I'll care about how parallel things are. But for now, I'm just going to get my idea down and call it good. Alright. And then we're going to have some little star shapes going down. This will probably be something that I make a template for at some point, but I don't want to do it right now, so I'm not gonna. I will do it next time. And yeah, I'm worrying too much about this. I gotta just get it done fast. Should not get caught up on placeholder. Never. That's probably one of those things that slows me down more than necessary, and I would like to eliminate it from my process. It's okay, draw the placeholder. I need them. But don't get too fixated on it. I can do that. But this should let me see some of the compositional stuff I'm going for, and I want to make sure that I like this. Yeah, you can see I am not getting stuck on things at all anymore. And the downside is that they look kind of terrible. But that's okay. It's okay for now. I'm actually going to make all these a little thicker. Little thicker here. I'm just double checking, the references I'm using for the kind of things that this culture likes to do. I always like referencing real-world aesthetics for fantasy stuff. I think it can be fun. Keep things a little bit more consistent. But sometimes I also design the aesthetics from scratch. And when I do it from scratch, a lot of the times I just decide what kind of tools they make or use to make their art, and determine the kind of edges that they have there. So I think this is like especially clear with handwriting and alphabets, where if you find a culture that carved their writing into stone, their alphabet generally has a lot of straight lines. So that would be, Latin for one, a lot of Gaelic cultures, for example, Germanic, because a lot of those were carved into stone. And then, there's some that used ink, and that's where you get Chinese kanji, which have a lot of very fluid lines that flow into each other. So it can have wildly different results depending on the types of tools that they use. And so I think about that, and then I just decide, what kind of things would they consider beautiful within the environment that they live in. So in a mountainous place, they probably highly value triangles and stuff like that. I can just decide what kind of shapes that they think are pretty. Then you get things like China, Japan, where they seemed heavily inspired by the sun. So they got lots of circles. I think Japan, in particular, it did a lot of stuff with water. So you have a lot of famous Japanese paintings that are about the ocean. So they had a lot of ocean shapes that they thought were nice. And so I just kind of base it on that, and then I just try to keep the shapes that I use fairly consistent. Or at least when something is supposed to be nice versus when something is supposed to be kind of ugly. And that's how I think about it, because I think about world building stuff way too hard. But it's fun, so I don't care. But if you want a shortcut, just use some real-world aesthetics, because they've already done the work for you by existing and leaving their cool art behind. So you can get lots of good ideas from just taking it from ancient peoples. Okay, and then I don't think I really want it to be more complicated than this, so I'm just gonna add another line coming down around here. I will integrate it with the folds of the curtain later, but I think this is all I'm gonna do for that, with, maybe the occasional little decorative pattern somewhere. Like, I could potentially do something like this, for example, but I'm not sure what I want to do there. But I think this is enough for the gist of my idea here, and we'll see if I want to make it more complicated. I probably don't, all things considered. Yeah, there we go. So I'm gonna wrangle those clouds a little in the mountains a little bit more, because you can see I moved some things. So they need a little bit of help. Go turn off my filter so I can get my colors. I honestly think that these mountains look pretty good. I don't really think that they need to have any more presence than this. I'll go ahead and add just a couple more over this way. Maybe one going above the railing. But that's good. I think that's plenty. Okay. Fill in the clouds around here. And I think I want the clouds to go a little bit higher up. I want some of them covering this planet. Oh, I actually can't do that because the planet is up in front of them, so I will have to do that like this. Okay. There we go. We'll have some little clouds covering the planet. I think that'll add a greater sense of depth to the picture. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Over here, I think I want some kind of around Leia's arm. And I will have to move her hand and arm a little bit. Little bit unfortunate given how much trouble I went to get her arm in the right place there, but you know what? It's okay. All is well. All is well. Okay. Let me see. I'm gonna turn off the lights on her for just a second while I do that. I just want to get her hand up on the right spot here. Where's her body? There it is. Where's the sleeve? There it is. Okay. So I gotta get that on there. And now I can adjust where the sleeve is going to go. I want a little bit more of that hand showing. Okay, and now I turn on the sleeve again, and I adjust that accordingly. Just push it back a little bit there, and I think that should be fine. I didn't have to move it that much. Okay, and it looks like I have a little bit more mount to draw. And you know what? I want to put a little bit of the bright lights in there. I'm just going to steal it from this picture. Sounds fine to me. There we go. And then cloud. I want to fill in my gaps a little. Just not quite happy with the puffiness of the clouds. There we go. They're looking much more puffy now. This has a little bit too much presence. I'm going to scooch it just a little bit. And I do think that the curtains probably need their own lighting too. I'm just going to scooch it a little. I do kind of want it partially covering Leia is the thing. Okay, there we go. And I will give it a little bit of dark. Probably no light, but it might get a little. But I just kind of want it out of the way. And right now it's just calling a little bit too much attention to itself. It's taken away from the background a little bit more than I like. But without it, it doesn't quite work. It's hard to explain. But I do like it better with them. I just... They're a little bit too... Little bit too there. They need to get out of the way. They need to get out of the way for more important things. There's no way around it. They just need to get out of the way. wasn't actually expecting to add this much light to it, but it does look a little better with it. And you know, while I'm at it, I don't like that shadow color. So I'm gonna take the shadow color from Leia's clothes again, and I'm gonna use that instead of what I currently have. Oh yeah, that's so much better. Okay, there we go. So I think that's better now, and then let's see from here. I guess I can play around with the background again. Okay, and you know what? I think I want to move the sun over a little bit. Another superpower of the artist. You get to put things wherever you want them, and I think I want the sun over here. Oh, there we go. Which does mean I will have to change the angle of the railing here, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about it right now. It's not that important. Let's see. I think the planet looks fine. I mean, it's messy because I haven't finished it, but I think it all looks good. So I guess I can start messing around. Some of this glow I got here, I think I want this to be more pink. Yeah, there we go. That's a bit better. And these guys. I kind of want to start making that look a little bit nicer too. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plop a few other colors into it. And I'm scared, so I will be doing it on another layer. And I will just fluff these guys up. And we'll get that nice little Milky Way effect going. And that kind of effect takes forever to really make happen. So I can't go too strongly here, but I can do it a little bit better than I currently am. Because I want to do it last. I think that's important. Because if I do it now, there's got to be certain things that are covered up, and I will waste a whole bunch of time, and that's not fun for anyone. So I will do the bare minimum to kind of get what I want going here. And after that, I will stop. And, you know, we'll leave it there for a bit. Then I can make things look nice when the time comes, and it'll be great. But as always, it's just not yet time. But it is, I do need to, I do need to figure out certain things, because it's, the difference is bothering me at this point. And in order to know if I can trust the composition, well, I gotta know all the things, right? And I'm also just thinking, this part... Yeah, whether the picture is soft or hard, this part will be soft. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it hard. The rest of the picture. Because, yeah, when I think about it, I recently drew a picture as the gift I uploaded on Christmas. Where I said, Merry Christmas, and I just remembered that it had some clouds like this, but the shading for everything else was still hard, so I can get away with having nice soft clouds like this with the rest of the shading being hard. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, decisions made. So that's perfect. I will leave the shading hard. I went back and forth for a while, but no, I think I kind of like the look that I have here. So, this works for me. The big thing was just that I wasn't sure how it would interact with these clouds. And now I just kind of, you know, move stuff around until I'm happy. Right now everything feels a little samey and I don't really like that. So I'm kind of moving stuff around. Just so I can maybe get some nice looking shapes throughout here. All of this is going to be messy until the end. This is probably going to be like literally the last thing I work on. But I just want to get it into a state where I feel like I can leave it and be satisfied. And it's just not quite there yet. But it's getting there. It's getting there. As for why I don't quite like it yet, I think it is strictly just because everything is very, very samey. It's just like going straight across, and I don't know, man, it's not working for me. So I'm trying to add just a few more things here and there. And you can see I'm letting it go lower down here, and I think I'm gonna bring it a little bit higher up on this side. I'll leave it low right through here, but I think through here, I'm gonna bring it a little higher up and kind of give it this kind of snaky feeling. And the stars will need to move a little bit too. There we go. And I can even add some more if I am so inclined. I don't remember what color I made them. It's fine. They're all just kind of smeary right now. So whatever I do, I can fix it later. There we go. If I turn the curtains back on, how do I feel about this? Maybe just a little thing. I have a thought. Just a little thing. Kind of down here. Just a little guy right there. And I'm going to get rid of the curtains so I can get my color. A little bit of purple on its backside. And a little bit of white up here. And we'll give it just a little tendril kind of coming out there. There we go. Okay, yeah, I think that works. Okay. Yeah, I think I can be happy with that. I think that looks pretty okay. I might add some more bright stars up there, actually. But yes, I think this is working. I do. I think it's working. Okay, and then if I make these just, like, glow a little. So I'm just gonna kind of blur the edges a little. Something like that. And it'll be cleaned up more a little bit later, but I think that this works. Some of them I do think need to be toned back a bit, though. Okay, in which case I should not duplicate the layer yet. But yes, the idea is solid, so I think I can leave these guys looking a little bit weird, and it won't bother me that much because I know that I have an idea that'll make it all better. And you know, that makes it much easier to tolerate jank, when you know that you have an idea that'll just make it a lot better. Okay. But yeah, there we go. I think that's the composition mostly wrangled. I might change those colors a little bit. Little loud. Draw just a little bit too much attention to themselves, and then I can just put in the occasional bright highlight throughout there. So something like that. something like that. And then I'm just plopping in the other colors I like and get to do all kinds of nice little things, and it'll be great. I think I'm gonna merge these layers together, actually. Just because I'm sick of working on them separately. Because now I can kind of start getting cloud texture and stuff like that. Like I said, it's gonna be the last thing I finish. But I do need some things here and there in order for it to not drive me nuts while I'm working on other things. And that's fine. So I'll just dab in some lights. Make the ones over here especially bright. And I'll dab in some darks too. Some of the lighter colors. Just scribbling for now. Okay. And I think that's fine. You know, for the time being. Yeah, that's perfect for the time being. And then we'll have a few extra clouds just kind of over there. I'll dab those in real quick. And I'm just poking at it gently. Not going very hard. Just pulling colors from wherever I want. And I'll even add some dark spots. And there we go. That should be good. Yeah, I think so. And once I make those stars look really nice, I think it'll be in a really good spot. But yeah, I think that's composition wrangled. I do, still have a half hour here. Is there anything I feel like working on right now? Just thinking about it. Since the curtains are translucent, I don't really feel like I have to do them first. So it's like the first thing that I'd render next time would be the veil and its decorations. Do I want to do that right now? I don't know, maybe. It might be okay. I'm just looking at everything, and yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how things are looking. Let me go take a look at her proportions and stuff. How do I feel about them all? I definitely need a shadow color for the trim on everything. So you know what? Let's get that. I don't know if I want to get into rendering right now. But some colors, some final colors might be nice. So let's do that. Kind of in a state where I kind of feel like I have to get up and walk around a little. Feeling a little restless after all that. That's okay. That's pretty normal, actually. Let's see. This is like underneath that. And you know what? I can add the shadow underneath the veil now. Do I still... I still have a filter on there, don't I? I do. Okay. There we go. I can get some of those shadows in, and I should get rid of this now, and I should actually finish her neck. So let's do that too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off the top here about the length of the turtleneck. Oh, you were part of the dress layer. Okay. Where is my dress? Where is it? There it is. Okay. So right there. Actually, you know what? Before I delete that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. I'm going to go to my body layer. I'm going to unlock it. And I'm going to... Do I have a dark skin tone yet? I don't think I do. Okay, I should be safe to hide the dress. Nope. No, I am. Okay. think that is my dark skin tone color. I'm gonna fill it in right there. And now that I have the shape of the neck in there, I can safely cut off the top. And all the pieces are just right there for me, and all is well. I wanted to curve this way, though, because we are seeing her from below. Okay, and from here... There! Now we got the shadow under the chin, and all that's looking good. Right, and... shadows here. From where it's underneath the veil there. Same with here. This one I don't really think needs much of a shadow. I do want to make it shiny, though. So we'll add a little bit. Yeah, all this trim is very shiny, so I should respect that. Okay, I don't think I want any shadow down here because it's going to be hanging off her chest and that's going to catch a bunch of light. But I will do it on the shoulders. And back here should be dark. I think her entire back sleeve should just be dark. It's like, maybe I'll put a little bit of light on top there. Yeah, I guess that's good. But yeah, the rest should definitely be dark. This is something else. Okay, so let's go make it shiny. Which means I need a nice bright highlight color. I think I'm probably just going to use something real close to white, actually. So I'm going to take the default color. I'm just going to manually kind of move it a little bit toward yellows. And make it really, really bright. I want it to be real close to white, so I'm not going to bother being fancy about it. And then I will just brush in where I think the light really hits it. So like right through here. And I'll make it shiny, super shiny later. Probably a little bit through there too. On the belts, it gets hit strongly right here. And I actually think that there's going to be a bright light right through here. Maybe not. There will be some dark underneath the brooch and the belts. Okay. So I should be able to make that look shiny with those colors once I clean this up. I'm not going to add any special details or colors to all of that stuff yet. I'm going to save that for when I render it. Okay, and you know what? I think that this is good for now. But yeah, I think that's about what I'm going for this picture. I just wanted something, you know, on the cozy end with a nice space backdrop. Because I just wanted to draw some space. But yeah, I think this looks cozy. I think it matches the kind of feel that this picture gives. Because I was kind of trying to set it in this place. I'm not sure if there's breathable air there, but I have decided that I wanted her to invite you outside onto a lovely balcony to look at the view. So it's being outside. I have no information, so I get to make stuff up. But I think that this is a nice representation of the highest point of Delafia, and I can totally see how people would have a religious experience here. This place is lovely. I like it a lot. And I think just, you know, keeping the lacy pattern on the curtains, I think adding it like that adds a lot, but I can still afford to keep it very simple. And the same with the kind of stairs along the edge of this. I think that looks very nice. They're not real stairs. I don't think that they're big enough for you to put your feet on. But, you know, just a nice little edge. Make the balcony like a little cradle. So I think that will be quite cute. I'm going to zoom in a bit so we can see everything a little bit better. But there we go. We should be able to, I don't know, make things look really nice by the end there. So I think next time, assuming that I have nothing in particular I want to change, it's going to be all about making sure that Leia's proportions are perfect and start just rendering things and start getting it toward the end. And I'm quite happy with the effects that I have on her sleeves here. This light looks very bright because you can kind of see through the sleeve here, but you can see where her arm is resting. So I'm probably going to have to care a little bit more about the arms than I currently do. Because, you know, right now I'm just kind of making things up with the sleeve. And, you know, I said that I was happy that I was going to be able to do that earlier. I was apparently lying to myself. I do that sometimes. Everyone does. It's okay. We shouldn't do that, though. So maybe saying it's okay is not entirely correct, but it's normal. That's a good way to put it. It's normal. You can forgive yourself for lying to yourself occasionally, but you should look the truth straight in the eye, always. So, yeah, I'm going to have to care about where the arms are a little bit more than I currently am. Effect. Exactly what I want, though. I like this. I like this a lot. And I'm getting a little bit of it here, too. This side will probably get it a little bit less since it is overlapping with the dress a little bit. So I might lessen the effect there a little, but in general, it's great. And I think I got all of the accessories down, at least in basic form. You know, like I said, I haven't drawn the brooch here yet. Haven't drawn, like, all the stuff there and added all the details, but, you know, that's not important right now. I don't want to get too stuck on the details. But I'm not entirely sure if her proportions are correct. I guess I can take a look at that really quick while I'm here. Let's go ahead and take off all my filters. I don't know. How do I feel better? This is sticking up too much. That's how I feel. It's okay. I knew that the veil was probably the worst part of the entire thing. So, I kind of expected. Oh, I see what's going on. No, the veil is correct. I have it sitting on her head perfectly. It's just that this is not the top of her head. And it's blending in with the sun. Is that a problem? You know what? I don't think so. It does mean that I will definitely want to be hiding the sun when I render this, though. So that explains why everything looks so terrible there. I think it'll be okay, though. Maybe. That's something we're thinking about. I might have to add, like, a line or something to separate. But we'll see how much I want the back of her head to be blending in with the background. Okay, let's have the sun hidden while I check over proportions real quick. Neck feels a little long. I'm gonna move her head down a little. Just a little. I have to remember that we're seeing her from below, so of course it's gonna seem a little bit longer than usual. But we're not strongly seeing her from below, so it shouldn't be that low. Where's her dress? I need to adjust the turtleneck. There it is. Like here, I figured I'd just yap for a few minutes before the end of stream, but well, if you leave me with a picture to look at, I am gonna pick out the problems, because that's just how my brain works. It's deeply unfortunate. Okay, how do I feel about her shoulders? Yeah, I think the shoulders feel okay. I do need to adjust the veil a little bit, so this way it sits on top of her arm instead of, you know, doing who knows what. So I need this to be moving with the rest of her arm here. I think I'll actually pull this side back a little. I already know that I'm probably gonna have to redraw large swaths of the veil because I don't know, I just don't feel like it's quite right. I gotta get my squiggly lines on better, and I don't feel like it's symmetrical. and some various things like that, but I don't really feel up to tackling this right now, which is why I'm not starting on the rendering yet. Okay. But yeah, I think her shoulders feel fine. The length of her head, I think, feels okay. Maybe I should lower the veil just a little. And then from there, I want to open up the top. Because again, we're seeing her slightly from below here. So I just want it to open up like this. And that also means that all the angles for this part should be kind of opening upward just a little. Just to kind of sell that perspective. Okay, and this means I have a bunch of trash back there that I have to erase. But that's fine, I can do that. And what is this? Are you part of the head? Yes. So probably part of the veil, right? Yeah, okay. I don't want a random pixel dirt there. Okay. I do feel like this is a little bit big. It should sit a little bit higher on her head than usual, just due to the head angle. I just think it's a little big. Definitely on this side, because of the tilt of her head. You can see it's sitting like dead center, so I want to make sure it's still centered on her head. Okay, you know, glasses are messy, but that's fine. That's the kind of thing that I fix after I render the eyes. Right now, they're just kind of there. Okay. And now I'll just, you know, fix up these last few things here. Okay. And I think that looks a little better. The shoulders are good. This is just the lower part of her bust, which I think is accurate. Maybe I can add a little more flutter to the dress. Just a little. Just a teeny tiny. I don't want to overdo it. And I'll fix the wing on it a little bit later. Bring this side in just a little bit more. It'll make it look a little more fluttery. And then this part, I actually want to kind of let it open kind of dramatically, because that will also make it look more fluttery. Where is the underdress? There it is. Okay. So yeah, now it looks like it's being held closed by these belts, and then the parts that are not under the influence of the belt, just it opens up very dramatically, and I think that's nice. I'll go ahead and adjust the little folds here too. Let it billow a little. It'll be nice. There we go. Yeah, that is definitely very nice. I like being able to do that kind of thing. It makes me happy. It does. Then I can just adjust some of these shades accordingly and let it flutter even more. We'll just have so much fluttering around. It'll be great. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna hide the decor here, and I want to finalize this flutter a little bit more. Just let it all fly. I can kind of see where the fold should sit in my mind's eye, so I just need to kind of get it down, and, you know, sometimes that takes a second. Sometimes it does take a second. That's alright. This is one of those areas where I do think it's worth getting it right. Because it'll just add so much more movement to everything. And I think something like that's probably fine. Okay. Just for now, I'm gonna put this on hard light, or... Oh, I didn't expect it to get that right. Okay, well, we'll do darken for now, because that kind of preserves the colors, but lets me see where the folds will go. This will not be how it looks in the end. I'm gonna give it its own shading. But I just want something to placeholder for just a little bit here. Okay. And you know what? I think I have to adjust the back of her hair a little bit too. Where are you? So this will just be, you know, how it all connects to her head and whatnot. And I think it's going out something like this. There we go. Okay. And then do I like where this hair goes? I think I would actually like this part to come up a little. You can barely see it right now, so I want to give it a little more presence. I want it to cover up the railing a little bit. And so now I think it's a little more visible. And I think that's good. So I will go ahead and turn my layers back on. We'll get all that lovely atmosphere back in there, and I will save, of course. I always do. And there we go. So that will be what I am rendering for probably, you know, the next couple of weeks, knowing my rendering pace. But there we go. Oh, hold on. I'm missing one. I missed the sun. There we go. The sun is important. We need that. But there we go. There we go. And I do think I was correct in putting the sun directly behind her head. I think that looks really good. And just letting the gas giant out here kind of do its thing. Alright, so I might add a little bit of decoration to the railings and stuff. You know, the columns here and then this part. I think I might add just a little touch of stuff to make it a little nicer. But for the most part, you know, this is going to be how things are. And, you know, I just got to smooth it all out. I think I can be happy with that. I think she looks really good. And I think this painting will look excellent once it's done. So I'm really looking forward to finishing it. The lighting is always just when things become so much better. Before then, you know, sometimes I'm a little iffy on everything. But, you know, once the light comes in, I'm just like, yeah, yep, we're good. Every time. It helps so much. So there we go. So I guess I'll leave it there for today. And as always, you know, I'm open to questions or anything else. You can feel free to ask me anything, even if it is not directly about art. I do my best to respond to comments. I just don't always know what to say, depending on how much of a non sequitur it is. So I do apologize for that. But yeah, I think I will leave it here for today. So, you know, thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow.